Fantastic. Good morning, everybody. Isn't it always fun to come on here and see people? We like to see each other's faces, and it just makes it so much fun. So just a great welcome to everybody on here. Just for your information, those who don't know me, my name is Carla Nelson-Wolf, and I started Zenzino about 10 years ago. You know, I have to say it's made such an extreme change for my health, my family's health, but also starting the business. It was incredible change for our life. And honestly, from 10 years ago when I started, now is the absolute perfect timing. And the person we have on today is actually responsible for all of this. And I think you're going to see why now is the perfect time in Zenzino. So many things have changed. So we are going to welcome on here the founder of Zenzino and one-star global president, Orjan Saele. Hello, Orjan.
Thank you for having me, Carla. Excited to be here together with you guys today.
Zenzino has made such an impact in my life, Orjan. I can't thank you enough. Not only health-wise for me, I had an amazing story with my son is why I got started. And even though, Orjan, I loved to be a teacher, Zenzino is a way to help so many people. And it has been incredible, the growth. And I think you have a vision of growing even more. So I know that you and Dag, our CEO, have had plans along with Hilda, your wife, and you just know where you want Zenzino to go, helping so many people, right?
Yes, yeah. In fact, we've been on a couple of weeks of family holiday here, so try to take some time off with the kids, and then today is Saturday, and we're kind of starting our working life again on Monday fully, and. In the process of doing that, we were just chatting earlier today about the visions, about where we want to take the company. And it's not that it's something that we need really to think about, but it's something that we need to reaffirm to ourselves, that we really believe strongly that we can pull off those great visions that we have. And then there is the detailed planning of what do you do in the new season. What do you do in this new season that we're coming into the fall after the summer vacation, or it's still summer, but we're gonna start that new season? How will that look like? How can we be more effective? How can we create more results with less time, with less effort? How can we help more people? And eventually what we believe, and on any journey, there will be ups and downs. I'm coming to a good example of that in just a few minutes, but we absolutely are committed to making this happen. 1 million customers by 2025. So think about that, 370,000 today, 4 years from now, 1 million. That's like, if you're watching, that's an opportunity, because that means that more than or just above 2/3 of the company is getting created in the next 4 years. So company's been around for 16 years, and 2/3 of the size that will be there 4 years from now is created in these 4 years, giving you as a brand new or as a partner that have been around for 16 years, this incredible opportunity to move now. And when we speak specifically about the US market, we're like a few years into it, but when we talk about how many tests we're into it, we haven't even scratched the surface. It's like what we've done in the US is like me doing like this. You see that little prick that I put on the wall back there? No, you can't see it because it's on the wall back, and you're on Zoom, you know, you can't see it. And that's how many tests we've done in the US. We haven't even gotten started. We're not even tapped into this market. If I talk about Canada, it's the same thing. We haven't tapped into the market. Mexico, which we wish we already were fully open in, but it's taking time. And I guess at this point, I don't need to explain why things are taking more time. I mean, some of you guys have been trying to get your kids to school for a year, so everything is taking time. Like usually you got penalized for not having them in school. No, you got to fight to get them back into school, you know? So things are taking time these days, but Mexico, when we launched that, is going to be an incredible market for us. And so on comes all the other markets that will follow also in the future. So that's an incredible opportunity that you're sitting on. And then we'll move directly from 1 million customers, have a run for next 10 years after that, hitting 20 million customers, because we believe that when we get to a size of 1 million customers, we have about close to $1 billion US dollars in sales. That will put us into that power position to really start growing. So if you think about then 14 years, getting to 20 million customers is going to be absolutely so incredible. But of course, as owners, as leaders of the field, we will only do these things if we improve, we manage to do things more effectively, and we manage to do the right things at the right time with the right people and so on. So that was our conversation earlier today.
Well, Orjan, I mean, I can only, talk about what it's done in the last 10 years, but Zenzino has, I mean, and even then it was an amazing opportunity. At that time, I was, living in Scandinavia, where we were just in Scandinavia. And now I remember the day I heard we were going to open in the United States, and that was incredible here. And things have changed so dramatically since then. And in so many countries, we were just in 5 countries 10 years ago, and look at the changes today. So, it's like, it's never been better than ever to get started in Zenzino.
Oh, I completely agree with you. And like if we look at what's developing at corporate side, there is so many incredible things happening also in the background, just who we are putting together as a team to develop the products. I mean, in the beginning, when we first launched the oil, I was happy to meet somebody with a degree that was enjoying our product. Today, I think we are employing and we're adding to our board of development, product development people with doctorate degrees inside of fatty acids all across different areas of Europe to be the strongest in that area. So it's a big thing that we're working on in the background. But then in the field, it's also happening. A lot is happening. The leadership have changed around. And if I took this company like 4 years ago and we looked at our top leaders, and most of those that are top leaders today were either not a top leader or they hadn't started in company yet, which means that when I look at you that are here with us today, well, some of you are in that position, but for those that aren't in that position, 4 years from now, I fully expect that you could be that next one that is taking your market, going out full out with your heart, building your vision, building your dream, giving this test to the people that are dear to you, that are local to you, and then giving them the oil, which absolutely changed my life forever. And I won't tell my story today because I've told it so many times when I'm on this Zoom with the US, Canadian team and Mexican team, but just completely changed my life. And then you see that happening in your market and you take off and you create something, and you will be that person that is on the tongue of everyone when we give out recognitions and we talk about what's the future of Zenzino. And that could happen for you. But for you to be that person where it happens to you, and that's where I want to get into a little bit of the details. You got to develop the mindset where you actually believe that you could. Because if we don't believe that we can, we probably won't position ourselves in the position where it will happen. So over the summer, I've had some interesting conversations with my son that is now turned 7 years old. And for those that have heard me speak about him before, you know that one of my prayers that I say with him in the evening, either after he's asleep or when he's going to bed, is that I want to teach him everything that I know, so that he could develop in wisdom and he could teach me new things. So I'm very into trying to install some good ideas in him. And at 7, one of the things that, well, your kids probably have that, but my kids don't have this so far. So I'm probably just lagging behind. At 7, he has a very hard time understanding the principle of sharing and giving. He does not understand how he will be blessed by giving away or sharing his toy. Even with his little sisters, he doesn't see the point, because as soon as it leaves his hand, he doesn't have it anymore. So I've been trying to then have these, I don't know if I should call it, well, it actually becomes a discussion, because he is very verbal and he is very good at debating back with me. So it becomes a little bit of discussion, but I'm trying to give him the examples of how these principles work, that me and Hilde believe so much in ourselves, that if you give, then whatever you have that you give is at its smallest potential, because then it's like a seed planted and it can grow and it can multiply and so on. While when you keep onto it, it's at its smallest. When you give, it's actually gonna multiply. Just correct myself there. So we were then out shopping today, and this there was a woman sitting there. She was begging for money, and we could go into the whole philosophical conversation if it helps giving some to her thing to her or not, but that's not really where I want to take this. And I probably agree with you either way, because I can see that one from many different angles. But anyway, so we go, and she's begging for money when we pass by her. And I don't give her any money when I'm going into the shopping mall, because I just want to get Gabriel there and do the things that we want to do. But then on the way back, I made sure that I had some change. And then as we're going past her, I'm saying, so Gabriel, I'm going to give her a little bit of money. And then I put some money into her cup. And he says, why did you do that? No, you have less money, Dad. That was his response to that. And I said, that's true, but at the same time as this is true, I believe that she maybe needed that money. Maybe she needed that money to have bread for the week. Maybe she needed that money to have food for her kids. I don't know her situation, but what I know is my situation. And then I turned it over to talking about why I was giving, because he said, no, probably she, and he's 7, probably she's just there to fool people. And then he was ranting about basically how our government takes care of everyone anyways. If you read about Norway, we've got really good social benefits for everyone. So to stay out of the social benefits in Norway, you got to be really good. To put it that way, most people manage to stay inside of social benefits. And those that are from Scandinavia is probably laughing, because the rest of the world doesn't fully understand this. But I was saying, but for me, it's a seed I give to her. I open my heart, and when I open my heart and I give, then even if it's falling into a bad soil, so to say, that it wasn't supposed to be given to that person, my heart is open, so I can see the opportunities that are ahead of me. So it opens me up for the opportunity to receive when I give. So that was my little lesson with him today. So bringing that over to Zenzino, North America here, is if you want to be that leader, you have to open yourself up to the idea that this new season that is starting by August 1st, I'd start that as a new season for me, because I've just finished my vacation. You got to open yourself up to the idea that in that season, you will see different things. You will get different inspirations. You'll acquire new skills. You will grow in wisdom. You'll become a magnet for people that want to do this business. You will find ways to have a lot more people getting tested. You'll see different ways of presenting, and you'll open yourself up to having new people joining your team, so that your team goes to a whole nother level, or not a level, like our Jedi Art would say. He wrote that in the chat here, that we're going to take it to a completely different level in the next 2 years. So you got to be open for it. Otherwise, it won't happen. So let me give you maybe a little bit of a childish, maybe a little bit of a boring story, I don't know. But for my 40th birthday, I got an apple tree as a gift from Doug, or a CEO. And I think we'd read some books just around that about these principles of how the trees grow, and we can just watch that as soon as we take care of that. So my little apple tree, and I've got some points at the end of this, okay? So don't be too bored, or if you're too bored, then just go and play around on your iPhone, do something in the meantime, then wait for the conclusion, whatever you want to do. But my little apple tree that I got there was tiny little, and we had the shovels, we planted it, and we were saying, okay, let's see what happens with this apple tree over the next 40 years. So that was kind of the idea. So I'm 40 years old, I'm getting an apple tree for my 40th birthday. What will happen over the next 40 years? Of course, that's a very boring thing, because sitting there looking, staring at the tree, watching it grow is very boring, because you literally can't see any movement whatsoever if you're watching it with your eyes. But if you go out and look at it once a day, you kind of, over a season, you see that there is some movement, but it's not radical. So first season around, it gives me 4 apples. So at least it went from no apples to 4 apples. Next season around, I'm getting 16 apples, which is pretty incredible. So that's a 400% growth, which if we had 400% growth every year, that's amazing. But a few of you would say that, well, I've got 4 customers. If I grew 400%, went to 20, so the 4 plus the 16 went to 20, that really doesn't radically change my life, even though it's a very good percentual growth. And that's why the slight edge principle, if you haven't read the slight edge book or seen any trainings on it, go to the GoCore app, pick up some trainings on that. Art has done a couple of wonderful trainings on that. My wife have done some, and other leaders have done slight edge trainings, read a book, The Slight Edge, and so on. But then I think it was in year 3, we got like 36 or 35 apples. So again, it went up 200% or something like that. But there was a problem. There was like a massive ant attack, sugar ants that wanted all the apples. So I don't think I got to eat very many of those apples at all. Then we find a new house. So we sell our old house, and we're moving into our new house in the middle of this. This is like beginning of season 4. And what do you think happens to an apple season with a little apple tree? If you take it out, of course, I couldn't leave the apple tree with the old house. I mean, that was a gift for my 40th birthday. I'm supposed to study this apple tree for the next 40 years, you know, so I couldn't leave it. So I'm taking it up with everything, and then we're replanting it. So the next season, year 4, how many apples do you think I got? Very, very few. It was like hardly any apples at all. Then in year 5, it's picking up a little bit, but we've got sugar ants in this area as well. So eventually I have to do an intervention with the sugar ants so that they're not eating my apples. And now we're in year 6. I just turned 46 years old. I was outside just counting the apples that is hanging on the tree right now. And we're up to 96 apples on my little apple tree. So you can actually pick a few bags of apples out of the tree. Now, there is a couple of hidden principles inside of this. First of all, is that over time, things grow. Even if you can't watch the growth, things grow over time, as long as there is a good steward making sure that the conditions for growth is there. So how are you making sure that you grow over time? What are you doing to make sure that you're a good steward of your own gardens yourself? How are you making sure that you're putting in good information about the business, good information about the products, good information about leadership, good information about self-worth, self-leadership, good information about health into your life so that you grow, so that you develop, so that every season around you bear more fruit. So that's number one. Then even if everything is supposed to grow every season, it never does. So I'm saying the completely opposite here, meaning that the fruits isn't visible at every season, and that's the big frustration. And this is maybe the number one reason why I picked that topic of get ready for a new season for today, is that the apple tree, so to say, knows, because it's inside of the DNA of the apple tree, just to grow every season. It doesn't think, it doesn't have a brain, it doesn't have feelings. At least I don't know the apple tree's feeling. If it's a dry season, it doesn't complain. It doesn't write letters to the governor complaining about the drought. It doesn't do any of those things, okay? It's just there trying to do as best as it can to get out of itself what's inside of it, which is an apple tree, which the fruit will be apples. So now the apple tree knows that I'm going to grow 40 years from now. I'm going to be a giant apple tree. So, and just a side note on that. So Hilde and I, as founders, major shareholders in Zenzino, we know that Zenzino is going to be a major global company 40 years from now. We're 100% into that. There is no doubt in our mind that we're going to do that, because we come from such a little company. So we've become a major company when you look at companies coming from our area, from our towns where we grew up, but we're going to do that on a global scale as well. So that's inside of Zenzino that will happen. And then we also know that this is a global mega trend. So we hit a trend that is going to absolutely revolutionize everything in the world with test-based nutrition, biomarkers-based nutritional science is going to dominate the future. There is no doubt about that. And it's happening everywhere. And we're going to be one of the leading companies in that field. So we know that, just like the apple tree knows that my purpose is to grow. But the farmer of the apple tree, so that would be me in this case, since it's my apple tree I'm talking about, I can become doubtful. I can give up on the project. Like many other people that start a business to take it over to the knowledge of a business. There is a lot of people, let's just go back to the, I think a good starting point would be the 80s, and talk about tech for a little while. So in the 80s, there was a lot of companies starting up in the tech industry that just went away. And in fact, in the 90s, lots of tech companies that grew and then went away. And then in fact, that happened in the 2000s. A lot of, you heard about the IT bubble, the bust, and all of those, like probably 99.5% or even more of all the companies in tech industry in the world went away. The farmer gave up on the idea that tech would dominate the world. And if you look at the share values in today's world, I think that the major sector out there, if it's not already number one, it's going to be number one, is tech-related companies. So you as a person can miss the season. And sometimes you miss one season, like I did with my apple tree, and then you make a comeback for the next season because you stick around, or for the third season because you stick around. So you can miss one, but you don't need to miss everything because you're doing that. But some people just completely are not opening them up to it. So they're watching the tree grow over those 40 years, but they never go over and pick an apple, so to say. So you're around, but because you're somehow you know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. You say, well, I understand it's going to happen. Zenzino is going to be, I've heard this so many times. I understand that Zenzino is going to be a large company out there, but how do I play a role in it? Or they say, I understand that if you're going to take an omega-3 supplement, that you have no idea if it works or not, and you're going to spend the money on it. And then you have a test that can tell you how much you need of it, and if it works or not, you take the test. I understand that. I understand why this is going to be the future. I absolutely understand, but they don't manage to get themselves ready for that next season because they don't manage to open their heart up to the idea that this season is my season. I'm going to be the one leading this season. I'm going to be the one driving ahead. I'm going to be the one innovating together with Jedi Jonak in the US, or Art Jonak, my friend. I'm going to be the one that is going to, when Mexico is launching, I'm going to be the one that drives that growth. I'm going to be the one that dominates Canada. I'm going to be the one that is first crown in my state. I'm going to be the one that is the first one in Zenzino that has a diamond in every state in the US. Open yourself up to that. So with Gabriel, as I said, I believe that when it comes to prosperity and when it comes to wealth creation, when it comes to him growing up to becoming a very successful young man, the most important thing is to understand the principles and be open to see how he can impact, see how he can do the things, see how he can be a part of whatever is changing the world into a better place. And you got to be open to seeing that, because if you can't see it, it's nearly impossible. Well, I actually say, if you can't see it, if you can't envision it, you will not believe it. And if you don't believe it, you won't put money on it. You won't put a lot of hours on it. And you won't be able to create it or do it if you don't believe it. So how could you bring yourself to see something good in this new season that is coming up? See yourself as the one that, and there is many different levels on this. See yourself going from a team, if you're in the A team category, to a top team. Just do that in this next season, next 90 days. Just do that. 90 days run, hit top team, 100. Do that, show that to yourself. And then bringing then in the next terms, bring yourself to, okay, so I did that. And now I can go and do this. Now I can build, let's say, 10 top teams in my team in the next season. And then in the next season after that, use the apple tree, nearly 100 apples this year. So season 6, that'd be 100 people or 96 people that brought 100 customers each 6 years from now. So that'd be a black crown or above in the terms of Zenzino terminology. So that's what I wanted to invite you to, is bring yourself to see it, to believe it, and then maybe put some emotions into it where you really say, okay, this is me. I'm going to do that. This season is my season, and I'm ready to be the leader of Zenzino going into the 1st of August. And then, of course, we close this month today, and we do that as well as we can. But when we start tomorrow, it's a new fire, a new inspiration where you 100% see and believe that you could be the one that gets to live your dreams and I would say live your dreams and beyond, because beyond the dreams you have today, there is new beliefs in the future.
I love that, Orjan. And actually, I was just looking, when is the season for harvesting apples? It starts in August. So the timing, is perfect to be getting out there and doing the work it takes to be doing the harvest. Now, I love how our Jedi Jonak on here talks about the comp plan, and he says, it just make it really easy. How do you earn money in Zenzino? Well, you help people. Just like we know the product helped you, Orjan, the products helped me and my family and so many people. So we just want to help enough people in this. And if you want to make more money, help more people. That's quite a simple way to do it. So Orjan, I know that most people that are on here are looking at how are they going to have the biggest business also in Zenzino. Laundry done. How many? And so if they are getting started today, what should they be doing?
Well, I've got a second apple tree analogy for that.
Okay.
I'm not done with my apple tree yet. I'll be. You remember, I'm going to make stories about this apple tree for the next 34 years as a minimum. So I got to get some good analogies on it. But when I came out there to count the apples, I kind of got a little bit irritated because I saw that a lot of the apples had already fallen to the ground. And again, some ants were also running around trying to get some apples. So I was thinking that, okay, I don't get to keep these apples myself. And that was a little bit of frustration. And then I went around and say, okay, so instead of focusing on the apples that I've got on the tree, I end up focusing on the apples that have already fallen to the ground. If you take that to your name list, to your business, or to the people in your team, I think that we have a tendency naturally as humans to do just this, that instead of seeing the beautiful apple that is getting all red in the middle of the tree and walking over to that with a big smile on your face, picking it and then enjoying that, you get disturbed by the ants, you get disturbed by the apples that fell down, which, what is that? It's all distractions. It's people that maybe joined a different teams than you, or people that joined another company than Zenzino, or people that were in the business that aren't doing what you expected them to do. And you consume your energy into the wrong things, the things that will never make you happy. So I immediately recognized that and say, no, I'm going to go over to this tree and I'm going to enjoy every good thing about it instead of enjoying the things that are not ideal. And I think that if you could bring that into your August 1st mission for your business, bringing in the good things that you have going for you, bringing in the good things that is about you. So seeing the good things that you've got in you, the good things, the potential, and all of the things that you've accomplished before. So bring that out, and then bring out the good things in your people, and then looking at the potential in your name list. When you get everyone trained, everyone ready, everyone is as good as doing the presentations as Carla or as Donna or as Art or as Arlo, when everyone that you've got on that name list is as good as them, what kind of business do you have then? Then you're going to be rocking out there. Get your focus over to that instead of the natural tendency that I found that most of us have, that we see all the distractions, all of the things that are not perfect. We instead switch on, okay, this season, it's my season, it's going to be good, I'm going to be blessed every day. And we could talk about all the crises that are in the world as well that could distract us, like being able, so like a lot of people do a good thing, they turn off the media. in my position, I don't want to turn off the media because I don't want to be completely ignorant. But as soon as I watched it, I got to turn it around and say, okay, what's the benefit we get from this crazy situation that just happened today? How do we turn this into something good for the people in Zenzino? So I think that's number one, Carla. When you get that perspective, you're open to winning, you're open to succeeding, and then you'll be more likely to take massive action, which is what then makes it happen in the end. And Dave commented here a little bit earlier that he's going to come and build an apple, a little tree house in the apple tree. You got to wait around, or we could build one for the birds now, but if we want to climb into it, we got to wait around for a few years. So, but again, that's casting a vision for him. When Dave is saying that, that's typically a Dave statement. He says, okay, count on me. I'm going to be around here for the next 40 years. I'm going to be well into my 80s, but that's when we're going to get our gear on, climb up to that big old apple tree, and then we're going to build our apple tree house, you know? So how do you catch on to that kind of leadership ideas in your life instead of taking 2 steps up and 1 step back, which is good because it's 2 steps up? How do you like take yourself to, okay, next 30 years, I'm going to just make it happen. I'm not going to take any steps back. I'm just going to climb, climb, and climb.
And Orjan, so a lot of people are, they think when we're going to build a big business, it's the action part, like you said, we're going to take massive action. But what you're actually saying here is it's actually the mindset that creates the action. So the action will fall into place if we have the mindset that we're building that, we got to be working with that apple tree, but it's going to be growing. And at some point we're going to put up that tree house in the apple tree. You need to have the vision of where you want to go.
Yeah, it's definitely the mindset. It's your self-belief, so building you, and then it's bringing yourself to feeling it. So when the feelings are right, this is my season, it's going to happen. So that's again, bring me back to my son, the beggar, earlier today. I gave money, not for her, and that might sound cruel. I don't want to be cruel. She needed that. She was blessed by the money that I gave, but I'm 1,000 times more blessed because it creates the right feeling inside of me. And when I feel good, I feel powerful, then you always take action. So when you have the thought, when you have the dream, when you have the vision, you're not taking action yet. It's when you have the feeling, that's when you always act, because we always act on our feelings, and with good feelings and a lot of action, we are gonna see great results.
I love that. Well, I hope everybody is understanding this concept, is understanding that it is you working on you. Orjan, it has been super inspiring. I hope that everybody goes out and really starts working on the mindset. And would you have like maybe just saying what should they be doing right now to get, we know where we need to be mindset wise. Slight edge, you mentioned that's one thing.
Yeah, so pen and paper, if you don't already have it, write down a goal that is Zenzino specific.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then when you've written down that goal that is Zenzino specific, how do you create feelings around that goal? So if you write down, I want to become a diamond, if you're already way into a community, that might be enough feelings to say, when we have the first live event and we get hundreds of people together and we can be there together and celebrate, then I'm going to be the first new diamond on stage. That might create enough feelings for you if you're already a part of the community. If you've never been to any of those live events, you go, I become diamond, I get a pin. I don't understand why people are so excited about this thing. I don't quite get that because you're not a part of the community yet. You will get that later on, but then it's like, okay, so I get the diamond. That means that I get the car bonus. Okay, so that's $1,000 in addition to the commissions. which means that you're probably collecting $4,000 to $6,000 a month US dollars, depending on what your volumes are week by week. So, okay, so that's the money part, but money doesn't always give you that much of a feeling. So now the question is, how do you take that money part and turn it into something that is emotional, which is, how do we spend that money? How do we save that money? I've got a great example of how you could save money and teach your kids to save money, which potentially could create a lot of excitement around it. I don't have time to cover it now. I'll come back in a few weeks. Remind me, Carla, to cover that example when I come back in a few weeks. Sure about that. But then okay, so when we open up, when we can travel again, I really deserve to bring my entire family on a really great vacation. So that could create some feelings. Or you have a dream spot in the world that you want to travel to. So you talk about going to that dream spot. Or it could be things, upgrades on the house. It could be charities that you're involved with. Or it could be the way you would feel more powerful. If you have your regular job making maybe 4 or 6 or 8 or 10 in your regular job, now you add a diamond check on top of that, then you might be making as much as your supervisor in that job, or maybe as much as your CEO in that job in some cases. That might bring feelings to it. Or you make more money than your dad, or you make more money than your mom, depending on who it is. So what can you do with that diamond goal that adds feelings to it, so that when you achieve it, you know exactly how you're going to feel when you achieve it? Because those feelings is what carries you into the meeting, and what you transfer to the people that you're recruiting into the business, that are building customers, making money from that, that are recruiting other people that are building customers. That is what creates our business. So that's what I would do immediately after this. Build something that would create enough feelings that you are willing to pick up the phone and call the first person literally in the next 5 minutes after you finish the exercise. Then you finish the exercise. If you're not picking up the phone, you're still not created that feeling that you want to create for going out and doing this business in a way that will work, not once in a while, but every single time.
Oh, wow, Orjan, I love that. And actually, you can feel your feelings just glowing through here. I know if anybody's ever been to an event, they're ending with, I mean, Orjan's bouncing on the stage and he is so excited. So Orjan, I'm going to finish this with one last question for you. What is it that you are excited about most right now?
Well, I'm excited about getting into a new season in Europe. I'm speaking for Europe. I don't know all the details around the world, but we're definitely going to go into a season where we're reopening a lot more things. I know that if you're in some areas, they are closing down. In other areas, they're opening up. In Europe in general, we're going to internally in each country be much more liberal to travel and to gather people. So I'm very excited about that. I'm excited to go and make a plan for how I'm going to see most of Europe in the next 6 months. So during this next 6 months, want to go travel, do big, great events again. And then like one of the amazing things that Hilde and I get to do, which is also going to be a high priority in this new season, is the development of the leaders that have already broken through in Zenzino. And we like to have them in what we call fly-ins. Sometimes they call it a checkup from the neck up. So we fly them in to just talk about how do we take your business to the next level, talking about overcoming some of those challenges they have. I for sure can remember many of the clients that I've had to my mentors to coach with them and get a checkup from neck up, how much that helped. And just having that 24-hour slot, one-on-one time with leaders of our business, that's maybe what I'm the most excited about, because it does not take a lot of people to build a large team. It only takes one very dedicated leader, and you will have an amazing team in that one line of yours. And then when you have the second dedicated leader, you'd have an enormous team, you know. So that's what I'm maybe the most excited about, is that one-on-one time that we haven't had with people in person for the last 1.5 years. And then, yeah, being there with people, helping them get to their next level.
Oh, I love it. And you can really feel that excitement. And actually, that feeling makes that much difference, because I know we've said for so long, people don't remember, all the facts of the things that you tell them at every meeting. But when you're excited, people remember the feeling of the meeting. So it's really important to have that goal that actually you're moved by, because that's
and just ask that with Carla. I know Carla remember this. She's referred to this many times, So we had some one-on-one time. I believe it was in Marrakesh, and Carla was sitting there, looking me in the eyes and say, "Seriously, Orjan, what do we need to do to get to the next level?" Or something like. You probably remember better than me what you were asking me about. But my instant response at that point was I jumped up into the coach or sofa or a chair or whatever I had and jumped around, and we're just shouting out, "You got to have fun." Because that is what you do when you have that one-on-one time. And because I was acting out and being full in engaged in what I was doing, it creates a memory that Carla can bring with her for a long time. I don't remember all of those things that I do when I do that, but then people remind me about it later on, and I say, yeah, that was what I felt at that moment. So I really do love that one-on-one time. To me, Hilda, the leadership couple, I really enjoy that time, because I know that it only takes one strong leader in one state, and we own that state. And that's for you. One strong leader in that city, and that city is yours, and thousands of people is going to be impacted by that. So now if you take that back to your name list, you don't need all of the 100 to say yes, or all of the 500 in your phone book to say yes, or all of your 2,500 on Facebook to say yes. You don't need that. You need 2 really good ones to build left leg, right leg, go black crown. That's what you need. So remember that when you go into it. And yes, no, most likely you won't get them at the 2 first ones, okay? So just be aware of that. It might be that you need to go through 4 or even 8 or even 16 or 25. Me and Hilda's average is to get a strong line. We on average need to sponsor a little bit over 25 people into that line to really get it solid. Yes, we had lines where we sponsored 1, but we've also had lines where we've sponsored many more before that developed into a strong line. But we don't get depressed over it, because we love that process of finding the one, and the one that we find, well, they change our life as we change their life, and we become stronger together.
I love that. Actually, it's the life-changing business here, both in health and in wealth. Orjan, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule, even when you've been on vacation and everything else here, and teaching us. It's the feeling, and we can feel your feeling. So now is the
I haven't opened my calendar for a little while, so I'm glad that at 4 something, I was opening up my Instagram to see the end of the challenge, the balance shot challenge. And I saw Carla there, and I go, I've got a meeting with Carla. What time is it? What time is it? It's 6 o'clock. What time is it? So I was so glad that I opened up, because then I actually saw this meeting 2 hours prior, instead of having an alarm go off 15 minutes before and just panic. So that's being in vacation mode, and you're not always aware of everything.
Well, it is the end of the month, but and how you end this month, and there's still time, and you can still get in your balance shot picture or video and post that and get on the director trip. So if you're watching right now, get up there, be a little creative, and get on the director trip. That would be incredible. You've got to love that.
Yeah, and I must say that I am excited about seeing as many as possible in Portugal, because I have not been traveling enough, to put it mildly, the last 18 months. So I'm very excited about that too, and that's going to be. I think that out of that event, and people will feel the vibes all around the world. You'll see all of the videos that will be coming out there, all of the posts, all of the Insta stories that will be coming out of there, and you'll really feel that we're gonna take this to a whole another level after Portugal in the end of this month and beginning of next.
Well, it's perfect timing, guys. I mean, the new season is here, and as we said, you know, it is apple picking season starting tomorrow. If it says it on the internet, we know that. And actually in direct sales, it's also picking season now too, Orjan. So we're ready to be going out there and helping as many people as possible. And if you've got great big goals and great big dreams or whatever you've written down, it doesn't matter how big, just help more people. That's all we're doing. And you can have that feeling. Just grab Orjan's energy there, make a goal that makes you just as excited as Orjan, and we are ready to create a huge future. Correct, Orjan? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, and I will unmute everybody here so you can say thank you to Orjan. Thanks everybody for watching along. Thank you, Orjan, for taking the time here. It is definitely season. We're ready to start. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Orjan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another level.
Whole nother level.
Thank you.
Hi, Julia.
See you in Portugal.
Thank you, Orjan.
Apples. Got some apples.
Thank you so much.
Apple time it
Thank you
is.
so much.
Yeah, you got an apple there, Dave. Good.
There's a nice red one here. Got some green ones that have fallen.
Yeah. Love it.
Love it.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.